Okay, we are back with another Dragon Ball Daima review, episode 19, Betrayal. And this episode starts out with no recap at the beginning of the intro, of course, just straight into it. And it basically just picks up right where the last episode, of course, leaves off with the wish being made to the big red Purunga of the Demon Realm, and he's just standing there and he says, your wish has been granted. And of course, Arinsu thinks that her wish has been granted for her to have like this superpower that will, make her the strongest so that she can like control the demon realm or whatever. But you see them all start to glow, all the Z fighters start glowing, and of course, they all start to change back. And of course, Arinsu feels very betrayed and very dumbfounded. And we see like Goku and the gang basically transforming back into their old selves, their adult selves. And you can see like the musculature on Goku forming as he grows. uh, and as soon as Goku is done transforming, back to his older self, Goma immediately rises up and challenges him, and Goku just gives him a look, and it was kind of a small moment, but it just felt like so kind of, I don't know, surreal. Just I was very appreciative to finally have Goku in his adult form, staring down the big bad of the series. And Goku does say that since we're now all adults, we can go one on one with him, and that means immediately Vegeta steps up because Goku, I guess, got to fight Majin Ku. So now it's Vegeta's turn, or Majin Du rather, and now it's Vegeta's turn. And Vegeta starts fighting with Goma, and he's just fighting him in his base form. He's just swapping hands with Goma in his base form, even though it took like Goku and the the others like to transform to all these different forms just to like be able to kind of match him. But Vegeta's just like playing around with him in his base form for a while. And then, these like swirling, there's this swirling shot right when the fight starts with Goma between base form Vegeta and Goma. There's this swirling shot that happens with Goma, and it reminded me a lot of the Cooler shot from the first Cooler movie, where a similar shot happens with the camera swirling around Cooler, kind of zooming in, and then immediately stopping, and then he puts his hand up and hits Goku. And a sort of similar thing happens, but Goma kind of blocks one of Vegeta's attacks rather than, dominating Vegeta. Like Cooler dominated Goku in the movie. Vegeta's actually holding his own, and we switch back to Glorio standing there, and Arinsu, of course, feels very, very betrayed. She said, like, "Oh, this is how you thank me after saving you from the third realm, or the third demon world, or whatever." And Glorio doesn't really have much to say. He's just like, "Oh, it's not like that." And before he can even like come up with an excuse or anything, Arinsu basically just says like, "Don't bother. You're fired." And as Glorio is walking past her, it kind of slows down for a second in slow mo. And I was thinking like, "Oh, is she gonna like do something like crazy? Like, is she like totally gonna destroy him or something?" But not at all. He's just free to go, and all she did was basically just fire him. And I was just like, dang, she's like pretty chill for someone who got betrayed so heavily. These two were like clearly partners in their scheme or whatever, and Glorio just totally did not fulfill his end of the bargain. But as Gloria was running away, basically, Majin Ku does say that he will stay loyal to her, and you see like a smile, basically, creep up on her face, and it's kind of nice. But um, basically, Vegeta's and or sorry, not Glorio, Goma's fight continues, and there's just Vegeta's flying around and stuff, and it reminds me a lot of the Broly movie as well, with the a lot of the tracking shots you get of Vegeta flying around while he's fighting, and it just gave me it gave me flashbacks to that almost, and I thought that was like it looks really really sick. And as Vegeta's fighting, he eventually does turn it up a notch, and he does go to the Super Saiyan form, and he's like just basically destroying Goma, and then you see the electricity flare up. He goes to Super Saiyan 2, and then as he's flying, as he's fighting, you see his hair begins to extend, and he's just pummeling him like so thoroughly. And then in this amazing transformation sequence with just amazing like glowing auras here and there, it's just amazing. Vegeta does finally transform into his Super Saiyan 3 form once again, but this time it's a little bit different. This time he's now an adult, and it is just so surreal seeing this in a canon show. Vegeta in the Super Saiyan 3 form. There's always like fan art of this, like, for so many years. And an interesting thing about Vegeta's hair specifically is that his hair kind of stands up, which is different from like Goku's Super Saiyan 3 form and Gotenks's Super Saiyan 3 form, which their hair kind of like falls back and kind of just drapes over their back, basically, almost like a cape. But Vegeta's just stands up very straight. And of course, Vegeta instantly vanishes and hits Goma with almost the same punch he hit second form Cell with when he was Super Vegeta. And he just lays into Goma like crazy. And he almost kind of does like a Rock Lee barrage almost. Not as fast, but still, it did kind of remind me of that uh, from Naruto, and I just thought that was like so sick. And then Glorio does come to kind of meet the Z Fighters, and Glorio and Goku almost do kind of have like this little moment where Glorio finally lays eyes on Goku as an adult, and Goku finally gets Glorio's name right this time, which is, kind of ridiculous that Goku was like, I mean, I'm sure he wasn't purposefully doing it, but it was kind of funny that he always gets his name wrong. Uh, and then it cuts back to Vegeta's fight with Goma, and of course Vegeta is just laying it into Goma. Goma just stands no chance really. And basically punches him through the stage, and they're or through the ring really, and they're on like the bottom side. And of course Vegeta, he just puts them hands out and brings them together, and what's about to happen. And he fires off a very sick looking final flash, and there is a short beam clash that he has with Goma, but Goma, of course, does lose it, and he is just blasted further through the arena, and he's blasted into the sky, and the final flash just erupts into the sky, and you see the beams of light basically coming from the sky. And in this really cool scene, Goma does actually, he comes out of the sky, and you can see that he's basically completely unfazed by it, and in this like really cool like effect shot or whatever to show that like he wasn't damaged at all. Uh, and he basically immediately like teleports behind Vegeta. And it's just like, bro, what the heck? He was just having trouble against base form Vegeta, and now he's like teleporting behind Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta without him realizing it. But basically, he knocks away Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and Vegeta is tiring, and Goku and Piccolo make note of this that his Super Saiyan 3 form will not last forever. So Arinsu, with Ku, tells him basically to go get like the Book of Magic number 37, something like that. I forget exactly, but Majin Ku does bring it because they wanted to look up some information about the third eye, the Tertian Oculus, I think it was called. And it does. Arinsu does open the book, and you see like this fire element and this ice element and this green mist, and then like a brown rock. I'm pretty sure it's probably not setting up anything, given that like I'm pretty sure the series is not going to be like, oh, you remember when Arinsu opened that book and there was those elements? Well, they were actually hinting at something. I don't think anything like that's happening, but Majin Q does go ahead and take the book, and he flips through it very fast and impresses Arinsu with, I guess, his level of, I guess, his raw knowledge. I mean, you see his like raw intelligence or something for perceiving information at a very fast pace, and you see that when he did get he helped Majin do get the Dragon Ball from the Tamagami number one with the brain teaser that he was put through. But basically, they do find the information about the third eye, and she actually brings it to the Z Fighters. And Arinsu just straight up provides like helpful information to them, which is like super chill for a villain. I mean, she does say like, "Oh, don't get the wrong idea. I just want him defeated." But yeah, she doesn't seem like that bad she doesn't look as bad, or she doesn't act as bad as she looks, you know. And she basically tells them that Goma needs to be hit in the head 3 times for the eye to fall out. And Goku immediately, is Piccolo's standing right next to him, so he basically gives Piccolo the idea that Goku's going to go in there and Piccolo should basically look for the opportunity to hit him in the head 3 times, and Piccolo agrees, which is absolutely goated. But they run into a problem, and this is probably the funniest moment from the episode. They run into a problem. Vegeta, even though he's literally, tiring out, like you can see his Super Saiyan 3 form, and it's his hair is going from gold and yellow to basically just the base form black. He does not want to stop fighting. He would rather die than give up this fight and have someone else join in and tag in. And this is where Bulma steps up, and she basically says, "If you don't, if you don't stop fighting, yeah, if you don't stop fighting, I'm not gonna take a bath with you anymore." And Vegeta has like this moment where he looks like he just saw a ghost. He looks like Gohan right before he transformed in the Cell Saga. Like he has this like really crazy, like he's just scared out of his mind, and he immediately like steps back and immediately goes to the ground, and he's like, "All right, yeah, you guys can fight," which is a really funny scene, and everyone just kind of pauses, and basically, after this happens, Goku immediately steps up, and he flies right up to Goma, and it's just really cool to see adult Goku facing off against the new big bad in Dragon Ball. And you see his eyes, they turn green, and you see that green glow from his eyes, and he immediately starts out with the classic, "This is Super Saiyan." Oh my goodness. And, in this really stunning transformation sequence, he goes from Super Saiyan and then he says Super Saiyan 2. And then, in this awesome, awesome transformation, he goes to Super Saiyan 3 and he says, "And this is Super Saiyan 3." And it's just like, it looks so awesome. Like, seeing Goku in his, for the longest time, GT was not canon. So this is basically Goku's like ultimate form, his ultimate canon form for like the longest time. And it was so cool to see like Super Saiyan 3 get so much love so far in this series and in this transformation sequence as well, because it really does get it, like its power is showcased really well in my opinion. And Hyvis does say, "Oh man, like this guy is more like a Majin than if anything," which I think is kind of funny given Goku like transforms so many times. And that's where I thought it was going to be done, but they did some clever wordplay, kind of tricking us, because they said, "And this is Super Saiyan 3." So I thought it was going to be done, but then it goes up to a close-up smile of Goku's face, and he says, "And one more bonus." And oh my goodness, I got so excited. And you just see him begin to power up, and the shading is there, and the lightning is just striking down from the sky onto the battlefield, like this is Goku transforming in Namek and stuff in the first Super Saiyan form. And you see him transforming, and you see his red eyes start glowing, kind of like a callback to his green eyes glowing when he initially went to the Super Saiyan form for this transformation sequence. And oh my goodness, he totally just straight up rips off his shirt. He's just like, "Yeah, we don't need this." And you see all three worlds begin to shake, and you know, there's just this blinding just light that envelops the screen, and then it kind of fades, and then you see Goku climbing out of the rubble he just made. And he's got them huge hands, and you see his red eyes and that hair flowing and that red fur, and it's there. And unfortunately, he didn't say this is Super Saiyan 4. I think he just said this is, and they're probably going to save that Super Saiyan 4 line for the next episode. But he does transform into it, and you see him smiling with his hair's like flowing, and it's so awesome to see Goku take this form, especially as an adult, showing that he can actually willingly go into this form now. Goku kind of in this form, one thing I noticed is that Goku's hands are still big. I thought that would just be like specific to the kid form when he like transformed into this transformation state as a child. Like maybe his hands just looked big like that, but his hands and wrists look really big even as an adult in this transformation, which is an interesting design choice. But it still does not take away from how beastly he looks and just how awesome and just raw it is. Uh, but yeah, and that's basically where the episode ends. And I thought that was like a pretty great episode. I mean, they got to like show off like a bunch of transformations and a bunch of fighting sequences, and just like entire episode just had like an amazing polished look to it. It's very like I'm very grateful and very appreciative that we have this show, especially with when Super was coming out. Its animation and style wasn't it didn't look the best. Even like towards the end, there were some parts that still kind of looked a little bit weird. But Daima as a whole has looked very, very consistent and very polished and very smooth. Um, and I'm glad and grateful that they were able to implement that for this series as well so far. But yeah, this episode was like super hype, and of course, next episode is gonna be even more hype because we're gonna finally see Goku in as an adult get to fight in this form, and we'll see what he calls it, but I think we have a good idea what he's probably gonna call it. Um, and we do actually see Piccolo standing, kind of hiding in the rubble as Goku is transforming in front of Goma. So he will definitely have a key role in the next episode, I am predicting. And it gets me really excited because, anytime we can get more Piccolo involvement, I think is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see Piccolo just more involved in the fights and just play a greater presence, I think. But yeah, I'm super excited for next week's episode, and I think it is going to be amazing.